Hey guys, what's going on? This is Jin and welcome to 1-0 to the Arsenal. It's the 20th of June today and I wanted to talk to you guys today about the latest and greatest transfer news involving Arsenal. Who are the comings? Who are the potential goings? Who do you want to see at the club? Who do Arsenal need to bring in and really strengthen the squad that quite frankly has been depleting over the past few seasons? It kind of feels as though we're really potentially headed towards quite a steep drop here. You know, the big four clubs are taking off, spending money, being successful. You know, have the backing of the board and the owners, and then you've got up and coming clubs, your West Hams, your Evertons, and your Leicesters, who are equally, you know, spending money wisely and are really appear to be catching Arsenal up, as we saw from some of the games last season. So who do we want to see at Arsenal? Any comments, suggestions, please leave them in the comments box down below. If you like the content of this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to see some more, please hit subscribe. So, the three players I wanted to cover off today, where there's been some significant news over the past 24 hours. The first of these players is a French centre-back who's plying his trade over in Saint Etienne in Ligue 1. This is an 18-year-old centre-back called William Saliba. You've probably heard quite a bit about him in the press over the past couple of weeks or so. Arsenal heavily linked with Saliba. And the latest news coming out of L'Equipe in France reportedly suggests that Saliba has agreed a 5-year deal and 5-year personal terms with Arsenal. So potentially a signing there that is really progressing forwards. It remains to be seen whether Arsenal can actually get the deal over the line with Saint Etienne. One of the possible hurdles that's been spoken about is Saint Etienne wanting Saliba back on loan for the 2019-20 season, and Arsenal not apparently willing to want to let him go back. It appears as though Unai Emery wants to integrate him into the first team almost immediately. So we shall have to wait and see how that one progresses. But what does Saliba offer Arsenal? You know, as mentioned, he's 18 years old. He's pretty inexperienced. He really had a breakthrough season last season. Extremely highly rated over in France. Likened to Kurt Zouma, who himself was an ex-Saint Etienne youth product before moving on to Chelsea, of course. But what would he bring to Arsenal? Would he go straight into the first team? You know, ideally, probably not. But we've seen over the past couple of seasons, you know, we just don't have the players that are established enough to sit in and reliable enough, to be quite frank, in defence to really, you know, bed down those centre-back positions. So, yeah, he may well be called upon this season in the same way Guendouzi was called upon so heavily and relied upon so heavily last season in central midfield. So what would he bring us? Well, look, he's a tall, rangy and very classy-looking centre-back. Yeah, he'd be likened to Kurt Zouma, but actually, if you look at his stats and if you look at the type of player he is, he's probably more akin to someone like a John Stones. He's very comfortable on the ball. He's very comfortable and in control in his defensive positioning. He's a good passer. You know, he has averaged well over 2 long-range passes, nearly 3 long-range passes per game. His pass percentage completion is pretty high for a centre-back. And that really fits in with the style of play Unai Emery wants to bring at Arsenal. He wants Arsenal to play from the back. He wants the guys from the back to bring the ball out and integrate, play off the midfielders, and then just start distributing the ball out wide. So that would really be akin to that style of football. But what does he bring from a defensive position, or defensive sense, should I say? He's a tall guy, so he should be good in the air. He's reads the game really well. That's probably one of his strengths. He last season averaged 2.7 interceptions per game. He made a number of blocks a high percentage of blocks per game as well. So he reads the game well, and he is able to intercept and prevent attacks from completing, which is which is really key. The other thing that I noticed was a key stat with Saliba is how fewer fouls he gives away, and we know how critical that is in the final third, giving free kicks away in dangerous positions. This guy only 0.5 of a foul conceded per game, which is really quite low when you compare him to some of the other defenders in the Liga. So clearly a good reader of the game, a good tackler, great positional sense, and a good passer. So look, the potential's there with Saliba. Would he walk into the first team straight away? Probably not. Would we want him to walk into the first team straight away? Probably not. He's definitely one for the future, and the fee that's been commanding or reportedly commanded is around the 25 to 28 million pound mark. So really looking at an investment for the next 5 to 10 years, and he's possibly one for Arsenal's future. But I'd like to see what you guys think. Do you think he should be starting in Arsenal's defence straight away? Do you think he would get into defence straight away? Would you like to see him integrated straight away, or would you like to see Arsenal sign a more experienced centre-back who can slot in alongside Holding or Socrates and allow Saliba to slowly progress into English football, adapt to the lifestyle, and then come into the team on a more gradual basis? All right. The second player I wanted to talk today about is another possible incoming. He's been looked at over the past few months, but really only some more concrete news coming out over the past 12 hours is Tierney, the Scottish left back currently playing for Celtic. He's a young player. He's only 22 years old. So again, a player with potentially a long career and a successful career ahead of him. Very highly rated over in Scotland, and a fee of around 20 to 25 million pounds has been talked about for Tierney. And again, Unai Emery reportedly coming out and requesting the board to have their support to sign Kieran Tierney. He sees him as a player that can slot into that left back role for really the next decade. That's another area that Arsenal really need to strengthen, really all across that back line. Nacho Monreal, he's in his, he's 32, 33 now, and he's getting on. His performances aren't as solid as he used to be. He's been a great servant, but really, it's time to move on and time to get someone in a bit more dynamic, someone who can get up and down and provide an attacking threat in the same way Robertson does for Liverpool. Tierney's potentially that. He's a great athlete. He gets up and down. He's a good passer. He dribbles well, and he's comfortable in possession. And his delivery in the final third is pretty good as well. And that will only continue to improve as he develops. So potentially, a really solid, good signing for the for the next decade if Arsenal can pull that one off. So we shall wait to see how this one potentially develops. But Unai Emery reportedly very keen on Kieran Tierney. And the last player I wanted to talk about today is a potential outgoing at Arsenal, and that is Granit Xhaka. So very interestingly, Xhaka, he's a player that divides a lot of opinion amongst Arsenal fans. He's a bit like Marmite, isn't he? You either love him or you hate him. Personally, I don't think he cuts the mustard. I think he's been asked for 3 seasons now. He's never really embedded himself in that team. He's never really shown leadership in terms of the way he plays on a weekly basis. He's still very error prone. He's very slow in possession. He often will slow that transitional play down. Yes, he's got a good left foot, and yes, he's got an eye for a pass, but really in that dynamic midfield position where you need to be quick on the ball, be able to see a pass, but also carry the ball, he's often caught possession. So for me, Granit Xhaka needs to leave Arsenal and reinvest that money. So where's the interest coming from? So reportedly, Atletico Madrid might be interested in Granit Xhaka as a potential replacement for their, again, potential outgoing midfielder Rodri, who is being heavily linked with Manchester City. So Rodri is a young central midfield player, Atletico Madrid, very highly rated. He's been capped by Spain, and Manchester City are reportedly interested in signing Rodri as a potential Fernandinho replacement, 60 to 70 million pounds or euros this summer. And that means that they obviously will be looking for a replacement. And reportedly, Granit Xhaka is on that short list of replacements. And quite frankly, anything upwards of 40 million pounds or euros, if that kind of offer comes in for Granit Xhaka, for me, Arsenal have got to take that and reinvest that with an improvement on him in the market. We've heard earlier in the window that reportedly Inter Milan were interested in Granit Xhaka and prepared to pay £55 million. I mean, £55 million for Granit Xhaka. I mean, you would absolutely bite your hand off with that sort of money and take that and go and invest that elsewhere. So, well, let's wait and see what happens with this one, whether that's going to move forward in any way, whether a potential bid comes in. And if the bid does come in, what would you like to see happen? Would you accept the bid? Would you guys like to see Granit Xhaka stay at Arsenal? Do you think he's key for Arsenal, or do you think we should be shipping him on and replacing him? And if we do, who do we replace him with? I'd like to hear your thoughts and comments. Leave them in the section below. All right, guys, that's the end of today's transfer update. As mentioned, leave your comments, your thoughts, your suggestions for any future videos, what you'd like to hear about, what you'd like to talk about, and of course subscribe for any future videos that I will be releasing. There'll be the next one coming out tomorrow, but until then, you stay cool and we'll see you soon.